Welcome back, folks, for another fun reloading video. Today we've got a quick range report here from last week and also this weekend here where I didn't actually go to the range. So let's see what happened. So we started at the far end of the shooting complex at the pistol target range where you can set up paper and chronograph and test all that stuff. The other week we were reloading some berries, 124 grain hybrid hollow points. We used 5 grains of accurate number 5, and this is a pretty weak load here. I was looking at other sources of data from Accurate even, and I think they started above 5 with most of their minimum charges or just close to it with other similar weighted bullets. So this was the first 5 shots of the day. I had to clear, I think, at least 3 of these from failing to eject and then feed the next round. So, I'm not sure in which order these were shot, but we had a low flyer there. Again, probably just me from being early in the day and just getting warmed up. Then I was like, okay, dummy, get your crap together. And this was the next 5 shots with the Berries 124 hybrid hollow point and 5 grains of accurate number 5. However, not a single one of these functioned the gun or locked it back. So we're going to have to revisit here with the hybrid hollow points and see what maybe a higher charge is, or even look at some plus P data. Here's a quick look at our brass from the Berries 124 grain. Very rounded primers. Again, they were low pressure. They were not able to function my huge blocky Ruger P95. However, they worked in the Springfield Hellcat before I did any YouTube testing at all. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, when you do an initial testing, you take all of your guns you're going to be using that round in. So while it might have functioned the first one we tested, the second and sequential ones from then had less luck. So you have to test all your guns with all the loads and all the seating depth and all that fun stuff. So that's something to be aware of. And then I had another target up next to this at 8 yards. However, I pushed record and then bumped it again and pushed stop. So I thought I was recording. And then when I thought I was going to end my recording, I pushed record again and decided to capture the space in between the stuff I wanted to record. So those segments were gone when I was just shooting at other paper stuff. But we moved back to 15 yards and let's take a look at what we did there. And everything on this target was done with my 115 grain berries using our long shot loads we've done previously. And here's this ugly group thing we had going on. First, I just tried these 3 shots. 1, 2, 3, that was my first couple. Actually, there's one way up here, so I think I was all over the place. And then I said, okay, dummy, once again, get your crap together. And then here were the next 10 shots after that. A little bit of vertical stringing, but I was able to bring it in this way at least a little bit. And after a little bit of warming up, moving out a little further there, this was my 15 rounds in 15 seconds at 15 yards little drill that you might have seen some people doing. So this is some footage I actually correctly captured, so let's take a look at that. And we were kind of slow there. I think we didn't make it in the 15 seconds. But I didn't want to shoot any more of my ammo at paper, so we went to the rifle range after this. But anyways, here's 14 shots here, so maybe one of these up here were from this little drill here. I'm uncertain, but I was counting. We only have 14 here, so who knows? Total failure. Way to go, dummy. And also note, you'll see only one other shooter. It was pretty slow that day because it was about 98 with the feels like around 108 degrees, I think. So a lot of people stayed in and I was one of the only ones out there almost all day. So next we scooted on down to the rifle range where they have 100-yard targets and 50-yard targets, as well as steel at 100. And you can also go on one of the far sides. They have a row of 25-yard targets for pistols or whatever you're trying to sight in. But I picked a spot right between the 50 and 100. And here we are with the 35 Remington. I found a spot open at 50. So that's where we're at today. 50 yards, 35 Remington. We started out with some of our Trail Boss loads. Here we used, I believe, 11 grains of Trail Boss with our 150 grain Lee 358 150. Here's 8 shots. Everything down here was an 8-shot group, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here at 50 yards. Not bad. There's a flyer. I could have pulled it, whatever. Down below we have 125 grain 358 125s from Lee. So this is 11 grains of Trail Boss here. And believe it or not, the lower charge had a higher point of impact. Again, both of them with 8 shots at 50 yards. These were super light recoil, so they could be pretty fun plinkers if you want to dial them in or play with them at all. Gotta love that Trail Boss. And after all the fun, nice, light recoil Trail Boss loads, we decided to use some of our 200 grain cast loads using 335. These were sent to us by MCK, so we had 5 bullets to test of his. I'm not quite certain where the first one went. I don't think I was actually ready for the little bit of recoil we experienced here, so it could be anywhere. Again, it could be me being a total puss. Here was my point of aim, and here were 4 out of 5 of those.
Pretty damn close.
And then after that, we tested some of mine, my 358 200s, the same exact bullet. I was aiming here for the very first shot, and then we ended up hitting it here. So the next 4 shots I held where my crosshairs ended up being right about in here. So this is my new point of aim for these last 4 shots, and we ended up putting them all right there with 35 grains of H335 in the Marlin 336. And here's a look at our 35 Remington brass. Here were the 9.5 and 11 grains of Trail Boss with the 125 grain cast loads. You could see no pressure signs there. And here was the 153 grain, these 8 shots with 11 grains of Trail Boss as well. And then over here, these 5 were from the ones Mark had sent us, and these were my 5 with the green paint on them. So no major pressure signs, nothing we haven't seen before. These ones are still fairly rounded, and we're still round here on our edges. From these H335 loads, I think we're actually still 3 or 4 grains under the book maximum, but don't quote me on that. However, you can see the accuracy over here, and I'm pretty happy with that for a cast load. So Go team. So finally, in between all of our shooting and cold ranges and all that, we were picking up some rifle brass from the rifle range over there. We ended up with a little over 4.5 pounds, but there's some really good ones in there like this example where, you know, clearly that doesn't count, but maybe I can turn it into 300 blackout depending on the head stamp. Who knows? So, you know, a good score there on the rifle brass. Again, about 4.5 pounds. We got some 308, some 30-06, a couple 7.62 by 39. A few 300 blackout pieces there. And then we moseyed on over to the pistol steel range. It was dead as I've ever seen it. There was one feller to my left and one couple to my right, and the people on my left were actually packing up as I was pulling in. The people on my right lasted about 2 minutes. I think we shot about 50 rounds over an hour, but I was mainly just picking up lead. So here we are at the range, almost all by ourselves here. There's one couple in the lane to my right and one in the bay over to my left. But everything back here is all mine right now, so I'm gonna go gather some lead while I can. Ended up with, I think, about 19 pounds. That's pretty good with the jacket still there, so hopefully we end up with maybe 15 pounds of usable range lead there. Overall, it was hot as balls that day. Again, it felt like 108, I think it said, with the humidity and everything. But once again, a great success on the foraging. And we got some good data from both of our 9mm loading and our 35 Remington testing. So as far as the range for that weekend, that was all of that fun. But Sunday afternoon, again, it was really hot, but I had a 5-gallon bucket full of this range scrap sort of stuff over here to clean up. So I ended up getting about 54 pounds, I believe, all ingotized here and cleaned up. This was totally full and topped off, but then this weekend I took a roughly, I think, 24 pounds. There's still some left in the pot there, but took 24 pounds out of ingots here and we made some bullets. And here's the spoils of about 6 hours worth of work between casting, powder coating, and sizing everything here. I ended up with about 19 pounds of finished product. Super pleased with the results. Other than the white powder coat, it's hard to make those look perfect, but it's good to use that as a base coat, and then you can kind of do whatever you want after that. So here's some 358 125 round nose. The white ones you can see again, they're kind of splotchy, but they are completely coated. I did the smash test and they, you know, passed just fine. And then we have some green there that I had left from prismatic powders. That stuff always works just fine. So we got, I think, 9 pounds of these here. I got some 38 special to work on. Here in the center, this was the Lee 358 150. I did some blue base coated ones and then some with a white base coat. And then we added some green and white in there. Super cool effect on these. A little bit of blue in there, I think, as well. That's Eastwood Ford blue and ruby red. Turned out super good. Real good, like I tell you what. These are sized to 358 for use in 38 special. And I have another bag here. These are all sized to 356 for use in the 9mm and 350 Legend. Lastly here, about 8 or so pounds of the 312 155. I've got some of the red and blue ones in the bottom, but this is the combination of colors I came up with today. It's a little bit of everything. We've got the green, the blue, the red, and the white, but they turned out that way, and I think it's pretty cool. It's got kind of a marbling or a stone-looking effect. I don't know. It's kind of neat. And so this is what I was able to accomplish this weekend. Thus, no range report, but I'm going to have some stuff loaded up that I was able to work on and get caught up with some brass prep, some sorting, and all that fun stuff. So, not a total wasted weekend. We have tons of supplies here ready to go. I think I will be set for these specific molds here for a little while. And I had more of these than would fit into my container, so I'm trying to knock out a couple hundred of those. We're using the Unisgenics small pistol primers, 700X, 4.2 grains, mixed brass. But anyways, thanks for joining me today, folks. That's our weekly sort of range report and recap here of what's going on in the dummy round compound. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you like this sort of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.